Been a lot of drama surrounding the Blue Jays starting their season 1-3, but the new guy took over. Daulton Varsho had himself a game last night, and Yusei Kikuchi also impressed on the mound. So we'll break that down and much more in this episode of Jays Digest. What's up, Jays fans? I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, alongside host Nick Gosse. I'm really happy to be back. Shout out to Nick for holding it down these past couple days. I'll be with you guys. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. Hopefully I don't have to take any more days off. But I want to thank you all for the support that you've given to Nick and that you've given to me. I really appreciate it. And it was a great game last night. I'm really excited that the Jays won and finally got off the schneid, and they look good again.
Yeah, and it was a great, well-needed win for the Blue Jays. Of course, it was early, but tons of Jays fans were already panicking, and it was a breath of fresh air. Everything worked yesterday, but like you said, the support's been great. Hit the subscribe button. We're on the road to 6,700, so if we can get there, it'd mean the world. But let's get into the first topic, which is Varsho dominates, and the story of this game is Varsho and Yusei Kikuchi, and those are the two main points. Of course, we'll touch on the other hitters as well, but looking at the box score here, and the box score does not tell the full tale for Daulton Varsho. I have a few clips to show you as well, but just before we get into fully Daulton Varsho, looking at some other guys, we have Bichette went 1 for 5, Guerrero 1 for 3, Chapman has been unbelievable. He's been on a tear. Of course, Varsho with his home run going 2 for 4, Merrifield, Espinal, Kiermaier continues to impress. And Peter, what are your thoughts on Varsho and anyone else you want to touch on before we fully dive into the Daulton Varsho show that was last night?
This was the VAR show, as I like to call it. This was his game, and he took it over from start to finish. I mean, just that play that he made in left field over there when the runner was tagging up from third, that was an absolute missile of a throw. And we know that he doesn't have a cannon of an arm, but that was the second fastest throw that he's ever uncorked from the outfield in his career. So in his Blue Jays tenure so far, in 5 games, he's hit the hardest ball that he's ever hit. He's thrown the second hardest throw that he's ever thrown. And who knows what's coming up next. I don't know if this is a breakout campaign for Varsho because he had a 5 wins above replacement last season. But I really think he's making new strides as a player, and he's becoming better with each and every game that passes. So he took over the game. His power was on full display. His fielding ability was on full display. His base running, his baseball instincts. I loved everything that I saw out of him. I don't care that he strikes out. I don't care that he doesn't hit for a high average. This guy's an impact player, and he just resonates throughout the clubhouse.
Yeah, he used all of his 5 tools, and I already showed you twice. We're going to show you one more time here. An absolute cannon, and this was very deep in left field. He got under it perfectly and just uncorked a hose there. And we have 2 other clips I'll show you now.
Too.
Yeah, unbelievable. Now, this next clip, I'm going to warn you, the quality isn't great. They didn't really post it with good quality. But it's his drag bunt. You can kind of see there it gets better quality towards the end. But he's known for this, especially against lefty pitchers, against, of course, Garrett there. He's obviously a fast-throwing lefty. He laid the bunt down, got on base, and this was also earlier in the game, his absolute bomb, opposite field home run, and he was doing everything right for the Blue Jays, and he really helped carry them into... The offense was struggling a little bit. It was much better, and the offense hasn't really been the issue. It's been the pitching, but yeah, Varsho was unbelievable, and this was just a quick thing by Zach, and you kind of mentioned everything here. In his 5 games, Varsho has his hardest hit ball of his career, the second hardest hit ball of his career off a lefty, second hardest throw of his career, his first ever opposite field home run. I don't know if that's right. I think it's since 2021, but a diving catch and 3 hits off lefties. The dude is breaking out. So unbelievable out of him. And is there anyone else you want to touch on from the hitting perspective? Personally, I think Matt Chapman has been unbelievable on both sides of the field. And anyone else you want to touch on before we move on to the pitching?
Yeah, Matt Chapman, another 3-hit game. He's hitting .579 so far, and I don't think this will hold until the end of the season. I don't think he's going to lead the league in average, but right now he is leading the league in average through 5 games, and he set a Blue Jays record for most hits through his first 5 games of the season. So that's a pretty interesting contrast when you look at Matt Chapman, because last year he set a strikeout record for the Toronto Blue Jays. Now he's setting contact records. So if we can get something in between those 2 Matt Chapmans, I will be elated, and hopefully they can re-sign him, because everything that I've seen out of him just shows that he's ready to be a leader on this ball club. He feels more comfortable with the guys in that clubhouse. And man, he's a great player. Aside from that one error that he made in St. Louis, I can't remember anything off the top of my head that I was angry at Matt Chapman for this
No,
year.
and his approach looks very, very good, and he just hits everything right now to the opposite field, everything in the gap. I'm surprised he hasn't hit a home run
Yeah,
yet. I think he's very, very due. Maybe tonight's the night that he finally gets his
it'll
first.
come.
But also Kevin Kiermaier as well. Quick shout out to him. He's hitting 412 in the number 9 spot with excellent defense, excellent speed. He makes things happen. And yeah, I guess the only major struggle recently has been George Springer and Danny Jansen, who has a 0.91 batting average. But again, we have Alejandro Kirk, and I'm sure Danny Jansen will come into his own. But let's move on now to the pitching, which was Kikuchi shuts the door, and we'll also touch on the bullpen, who once again did a fairly good job shutting down the remaining of the Royals pitching staff here. But bring up the box score here. Kikuchi went 5 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts, giving up 1 home run, and those 2 strikeouts came at a very, very timely time of the game there. But what were your thoughts on Yusei Kikuchi before we dive into the bullpen? No clips for you here, but he looked very, very good out there, touching 98 miles per hour.
Yeah, he was just pitching to contact, and that's something that I like to see out of Yusei Kikuchi. Don't try to strike everyone out. Only 2 strikeouts in 5 innings, but the one number that stood out to me is the 1 walk. And we didn't see that last season out of Yusei, and he looked very good yesterday. He had that one inning where he gave up a couple hits, the home run to Franmil Reyes, and then after that he settled in nicely. If that was in years past, he may have crumbled and may have looked like the Yusei Kikuchi of old, but he pulled it together. He forgot about it. He turned the page and he looked good for the rest of his outing. And he only threw about 65 pitches. I think he could have gone even deeper, but I guess they wanted Jimmy Garcia to face the top of the order. I'm not mad at that. I think it's a great first outing. It's a great building block for him, and hopefully he can keep this going forward because we haven't seen it over the course of 162. He's had a good first half of the season in Seattle, but he has not been able to put it together over the course of the full season. So if he can do that, he is going to be a very solid number 5 for this team.
Yeah, and I'm just happy that he continued his spring training, I guess, ways. Because if he would have came out and gotten lit up like the rest of our pitching staff besides Gosman so far, it would have been a bit disheartening. But like you said, he was unbelievable. And quickly touching on Jimmy Garcia, who did go 1 1/3 with 1 hit. Damon pointed out that using Jimmy Garcia against the top of the Royals lineup, no matter if it's in the 6th inning, was a great process by Schneider. He's made some pretty questionable moves early on, but that was extremely good process and led to good results. And that's exactly what you said as well. Against the top of the order, I guess he wanted to be safe there and not have Kikuchi out and take it, through the order a 3rd time. And also, I think a lot of it was if he, goes out there in the 6th inning and gets rocked, his confidence would obviously get shook. So just take him out when he's ahead. The bullpen is rested, it's fine. Take him out when he's ahead and build on that last start. But again, touching on some other people, Jimmy Garcia, unbelievable. Tim Meza, what a tale of 2 different outings for him. 0 hits, 1 1/3, struck out, I think, every batter he faced. He was unbelievable for Tim Meza. Swanson did his thing, and of course, Jordan Romano. No worries from Jordan Romano there. But anyone from the bullpen particularly impressed you besides, I guess Tim Meza is the answer. It was the Tim Meza show out of the bullpen today, or yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on yesterday in Kansas City, but Tim Meza was touching 97, and I've never seen that out of him. There could have been a lot of wind. I'm gonna give him his credit though. He faced 4 batters, struck out all 4 of them, and he looked good last night. John Schneider managed that game beautifully, and that's what we saw out of him last year. Not overthinking it, just doing the right things in the right situations. He brought in Meza for the lefties. He brought in Jimmy Garcia for the top of the order, which was 3 righties in a row. So it was just a well-managed ball game. All the little things were done perfectly by the Toronto Blue Jays. I'd still like to see them hit a little bit more with runners in scoring position, but now we're just nitpicking. Okay, they got the monkey off the back after opening day. Now they look good. They won that game. And another guy I want to ask you about, Nick, is Aroldis Chapman. Like, our bullpen was good, but Aroldis Chapman was touching 103 yesterday. And
104
even
as well.
104.
Yeah.
104, yeah. So is that a guy that the Jays could look at potentially at the deadline to add?
Buck Martinez mentioned that how the Royals was a good signing because they're just going to end up flipping him. And if he's continuing to throw that, then maybe. Of course, he has some off-field stuff, and his character in the clubhouse is not necessarily the best. So I'm not sure the Blue Jays would maybe go after him. But from a pure stuff perspective, I don't know what happened to him in New York. Because in New York he was touching last year 97, 98, and now he's back up to 104. So I don't know. Would you want to see him? It'd be very, very interesting. But I'm happy with our bullpen so far. I think it also depends a lot on how Tim Meza does.
For the right price, I'd like it. Obviously, the character issues. He thinks he's a little bit bigger than the team at times. He just didn't show up to a side session with the Yankees before the playoffs last year because he didn't think he was going to make the playoff roster. So is that really a guy that you want on your team? Someone just going to turn his back on you when
Exactly.
things get tough. So I don't know about that, but the stuff looks very good out of him, and maybe for the right price, I would I would consider it because that's another lefty in your bullpen. That's more velocity in your bullpen, but only if he agrees to be a team first guy when he comes here.
I agree, and it's good. The Jays are back on track, and a quick look ahead to, I guess, tonight's game and tomorrow. And the good thing about the win yesterday with Yusei Kikuchi as our number 5 starter, even though he probably had the best outing besides maybe Kevin Gausman, is that we now have Alek Manoah taking the hill against Zach Greinke tonight, and then followed by Kevin Gausman in the series finale. Now, what are you looking forward to in tonight's game? Are you excited for not Kevin Gausman, Alek Manoah?
Bounce back. I want to see a
Yeah,
bounce back out of him. I'm not worried. It was just one start, and he got it out of the way early, which is a good sign. Opening day, as much as people say it's a big day, it's not really. It's just more adrenaline. You want to get the season started, but in the grand scheme of things, does it really matter at the end of the day?
no.
Like, is it bigger than game 46 of the regular season? Like, mathematically, I don't think so. So to say it was a big game and Alek Manoah can't handle the pressure of big games, I disagree. I just want to see him bounce back today. I want to see the location. I want to see if he can maintain the same velocity that he had in St. Louis. He was 95, 96 consistently, and if he can maintain that, that's a good sign. I'm expecting him to bounce back today against a weaker Royals lineup, and he'll be fine. I'm expecting a workhorse season out of him.
I agree. A bounce back today and leading into his home opener start that you are going to be attending. So I'm jealous of that, but hopefully that he continues to do well. And I think he'll have a great season. But that'll wrap it up. Thank you guys for all the support. It's been unbelievable. Hopefully Jays can get a win tonight and get back to 500. And we'll see you guys in tomorrow's stream or video.
Thanks.